Good morning, students. In the topic components of circulatory system, we are presently in this topic components of circulatory system, human circulatory system. Earlier in our class, we have discussed and we have learned about the two important components, and today it is time to learn about the third important component, that is the heart. In the last class, we have gone through the other two component. The first one is the blood fluid medium, blood and lymph, and the second one is the tube system of our circulatory system, like the arteries, veins and capillaries. It is the third important component, and you will know that heart is made of by the special type of muscular tissue, that is the involuntary muscular tissue, and that is why it is the muscular pumping organ of the size of fist. This is the fist. It is the size, and almost to this fist size the heart. Where it is located? It is located in the thoracic cavity or in the chest cavity between the two lungs, almost in the middle between the two lungs, and the chest cavity well supported, well protected by the presence of the vertebral column, back side, front side, the sternum, and from the lateral side there are presence of ribs, and this is also known as a thoracic cage. So within that thoracic cavity, which partitioned by the presence of a diaphragm with the abdominal cavity, and its weight in the male is 280 to 340 gram and female 230 to 280 gram. In the lungs, you have seen the lungs are covered by the pleura. Similar to here also, there is the entire heart is enclosed in a sac called pericardium, formed of two pericardial membranes. The pericardial fluid present between the two pericardial membranes, which protects heart from mechanical injury and allows frictionless movements of heart. So this is some fact about the heart. Internally, we require here from the heart, according to our syllabus, we require how the blood will circulate through the heart. And internally, the human heart is four-chambered. The upper chamber are known as the auricles, has two chambers, and the lower chamber known as the ventricles. The upper chambers, auricles, has the thin wall, and the shorter one, and that is the receiving chamber. Whereas this is the thick wall and the distributing chambers of the heart. We so far known the components. Why? As because we require to know how the blood will circulate through heart. That is why it is essential to know about what will circulate. Blood will circulate. How it will circulate? Through the different vessels it will circulate. So that is why, and the chambers where the blood will come in the upper chamber, where from it distributed, and what are the different types of vessels which taking part in the distribution process, in the receiving process from the different parts of the body, from the lungs, etc., etc. So all these facts firstly we have already discussed, as because we will comfortably understand the circulation process through the heart. Now, the human heart has the following chambers. like number 1 auricles or atria. These are upper smaller thin walled receiving chambers. The blood will receive by these chambers. And left auricles and the right auricles, the both chambers are separated by a thin interauricular septum. The terminology are used here for the septum between the two auricles, that is why it is interauricular. Similarly, the terminology is used for the ventricles also. May you see here, right and left ventricles are separated by a thick interventricular septum. It is interventricular septum. So here is the auricles, and here is a short description of the ventricles. These are lower, larger and thick walled distributing chambers. Right and left ventricles are also separated by a thick interventricular septum. Now, when we go through the circulation, that is our main topic, through the heart, at that time we also see the role of valves that will prevent the backflow of blood. You have also seen this type of valve in case of the vein. In the artery there is no valve. Here all the chambers well guarded by the presence of the different types of valves. So here these are, I have written here the definition. These are fibrous tissue flaps found between the cardiac chambers and within the vessels. They serve as gates that ensure one-way flow and prevent the backflow of blood. Like number 1, atrioventricular valves are found between each atrium and ventricle. Now see what are the different types of valve. Here are descriptions of the valves which are present within the different chambers of the heart, like the valve between the right auricle and ventricle. Between the right auricle and ventricle, from the right side, you know, usually deoxygenated blood will flow to that in that place the valve is tricuspid. The valve found between the left auricle, left atrium and ventricle, that means left auricle, between the left auricle and ventricle there is again a valve that is known as bicuspid. It is also known as mitral valve. It is also known as, I have missed here to write, mitral valve. So this one is the second important valve which are present between the cardiac chambers. And not only between the cardiac chambers, but also valves are between the ventricles and the large arteries. What are these valves which are present between the ventricles and the arteries? Like number 1, there is an aortic valve between the left ventricle and the aorta, where from the oxygenated blood distributed to the different parts of the body. So between the aorta and the ventricle, left ventricle, there is a valve also present that can prevent the backflow of the blood. Similarly, in case of the circulation from the right side of the heart, that means from the between the right ventricle and the pulmonary artery, there is a valve also, pulmonary valve, that is known as, may you call them pulmonary valve, and this is the aortic valve. But these two valves are also known as semi-lunar valves. The tricuspid, that means having the three flaps. This flap, one flap, second flap, the third flap. That is why it is known as tricuspid. and bicuspid having the two flap, one flap, second flap. So this is the bicuspid. And semi-lunar, half moon, semi-lunar, lunar यहाँ मतलब इसका हुआ चांद, आधे चांद के जैसा. So these are the some facts. Why we study all these things? Only for the purpose that when we will study the next part with the help of a diagram, when we will study course of blood circulation, at that time we have no any problem to understand the matter of circulation through the human heart. Look this diagram. This is the diagram of sectional view of human heart. From this diagram, we should explain how the blood will circulate through the heart. Now, in different steps, we may understand it. The first, we may understand about cardiac chambers. Here is the cardiac chamber. This side, left side, that is the left atrium, the upper chamber, and the lower chamber, that is the left ventricle. The two chamber, left auricle and left ventricle. Okay. Now this side, again we talk about the chambers. So here is the right atrium, right chamber. Here is the right ventricle. Understand? Now the upper two chamber, that is the left auricle and the right auricle. The upper two chambers are the right auricle and the left auricle, and the lower two chambers are the left ventricle and the right ventricle. This is the chambers. Now come to the next point, that is the different blood vessels which are coming to the heart chambers with the blood and which are going from the heart. Understand? So here you may look the first one, pulmonary arteries. Pulmonary arteries, as we know that artery in arteries in arteries oxygenated blood will be circulated, but this is the exception, as because within the pulmonary arteries deoxygenated blood will circulate. Understand? From the artery, oxygenated blood will circulate. We have seen it in the functions. And from the vein, deoxygenated blood will flow. But here, this is the pulmonary arteries, not the artery. It is the pulmonary arteries. And here, there is a flow of deoxygenated blood. And here, pulmonary vein, it is not vein, it is the pulmonary veins. And here within the veins there is a circulation of deoxygenated blood, but in case of the pulmonary veins there is a circulation of oxygenated blood. So here these two sides, from in the left side you have seen here pulmonary arteries, pulmonary veins, these are the vessels, and here you may see here, look here, aorta. This is also blood vessels. And from this side, come to the right side of the heart, vena cava. From the upper part of the body, it is also the vessels, and the right lower side, vena cava again, that is from the lower body part. Now, step by step, try to understand in a very simple, not any complex, the diagram. If we you will understand the diagram with the help of the diagram. May you come to this side. Now come to this side. Here from the various part of the from the various upper part of the body and from the various lower part of the body, the deoxygenated blood collected, and it will enter into the chambers of the heart in this way. From the upper side, superior vena cava, and from the lower side, inferior vena cava, bring that blood to first where it will come. It is the receiving chamber, right part, that means right atrium. It is the upper and it is the receiving chamber of the blood. That means if the blood is coming, deoxygenated blood coming from the lower part with the help of the inferior vena cava, and from the upper part with the through the upper vena cava, when it come to the heart, where it will come? It will come to the right auricle. It is the receiving chamber. It has already come here, and from this, where it will go? It will go to the right ventricle. Where it will go? From the right auricle, it will go to the right ventricle. From the right auricle, it will go to the right ventricle. Here is a valve. What is the name of the valve? I already mentioned that. Between the right auricle and right ventricle, there is a valve. There is a valve also here between the left auricle and left ventricle. This valve is known as the tricuspid. This valve is known as the bicuspid. Here, once again, may listen carefully. From the various upper part and from the lower part of the body, deoxygenated blood will come to the right side of the heart and upper chamber, that is known as the right atrium. In this right atrium, blood will come, and from this right atrium, the blood will enter into the right ventricle. From the right ventricle, think where it will go. From the right ventricle, think where it will go. It is coming from the various part of the body. Now it will not go to the various part of the body or the body cells. Where it will go? It will go, just you looking here, I have indicating here this side, right side with the blue, and this side with the yellow chalk pencil I have used, and here I have used blue chalk pencils for your better understanding. You separately understand how the deoxygenated and oxygenated blood will circulate from the heart through the various types of vessels which you are viewing here, which you are looking here, like from the, it is also the vessels vena cava, it is also the vessels vena cava. They brought what they brought? They brought the deoxygenated blood here, and from this side you will see how the deoxygenated blood this side, and this side you may see how the oxygenated blood will come. Now once again listen step by step. From the various part, that means the upper and from the lower part of the body, the blood will come here. That blood is the deoxygenated blood. Which vessels, through which vessels this blood will come here? Through the superior vena cava. Upper part consists of the superior, the lower part consists of the inferior vena cava. Just with the help of this terminology only, the superior, inferior, you may explain the part. Here the right auricle, right ventricle. Here is the between the right auricle and between the right and right auricle and right ventricle, there is a valve that will prevent backflow of the blood. Here blood, deoxygenated blood, where to go? You have may look here, pulmonary through the pulmonary arteries. Through the pulmonary arteries, where it will go to the lungs. It will go to the lungs. Okay, the first step of circulation completed. Now come to the second step. Here also I have missed one point. Between the right ventricle and between the pulmonary arteries, there is again a valve is present, that is known as pulmonary valve. And here also may you see, here in case of when we will come to this side, here you may also see a valve between the aorta and again between the aorta and the left ventricle. Here is the between the right ventricle and between these blood vessels, that is the pulmonary arteries, you have seen a valve, and here you may also see a valve. Now come to this side. This side I have indicated with yellow color, where what are the parts which showing the yellow color? That part consisting of the oxygenated blood. The oxygenated blood, where from it will come? From lungs it will come. From lungs it will come oxygenated blood. Through which vessels it will come? Through the pulmonary veins it will come. Where it will come? It will come in the upper chamber, receiving chamber, that is the left auricle. Where it will go? From the left auricle it will go to the left ventricle, but between the left auricle and left ventricle there is a valve which prevents backflow of the blood. And what is the name of that valve? The name of that valve is the bicuspid or mitral valve. Now by contraction, expansion, when blood flows from one chamber to the another, and from this chamber, that means from the left ventricle, it will flow through the here look here, this yellow side. From this it will go to the aorta, and from the aorta it will distributed, it will go to the all the different body parts or the body cells. In this way the circulation of the blood through heart will be completed. ध्यान से आप देखेंगे, यहाँ पे ये ब्लू कलर और यहाँ पे ये येलो कलर. ये ब्लू कलर जो है इंडिकेट कर रहा है डीऑक्सीजनेटेड ब्लड को, और ये इंडिकेट कर रहा है ऑक्सीजनेटेड ब्लड को. ऊपर के दो चेम्बर, चाहे वो लेफ्ट चेम्बर का साइड हो, लेफ्ट ऑरिकल हो, चाहे वो राइट ऑरिकल हो, वेदर इट इज़ द लेफ्ट, वेदर इट इज़ द राइट, इट इज़ द receiving chamber. Similarly, the lower chamber, whether it is the left, whether it is the right, it is the distributing chamber. That means the blood will distributed from this chamber, the blood will distributed from this chamber. Where it will go? The oxygenated blood from this chamber, left ventricle, with the via through the aorta will go to the different parts of the body. And again here is also a valve, that is the aortic valve. Between the aorta and the left ventricle, between the aorta and left ventricle there is a valve, that is the aortic valve. It is the septum. You have also I have explained and given an idea about the septum between the left auricle and right auricle, between the left ventricle and right ventricle. So in this such way the course of blood circulation completed. From this course of, here in the case of the human heart, there is a complete separation of oxygenated and deoxygenated blood due to the presence of 4 complete chambers. Whereas in cases of the other animals, like in cases of the amphibia, where there is a 3 chamber, there is a mixing, possibilities of mixing of oxygenated and deoxygenated blood. In case of the reptilian, the chamber somewhat, the chamber may be different from the amphibian in this context that there is an incomplete fourth chamber, but not complete. But in the case of the apes and the mammals, it is already completed, and there is a total separation of the oxygenated and deoxygenated blood. There is no question of mixing the oxygenated and deoxygenated blood in case of the human heart, in case of the mammals. Understand? So this is the some features of the course of the blood circulation through the human heart. Now you may see here that through the heart, blood circulate twice, but it will assess the body part once. This is known as the double circulation. हार्ट से ये दो मरतबा क्रॉस करता है, ये देख लीजिए, एक मरतबा इस तरह से क्रॉस करा, फिर इस तरह से क्रॉस करा, तो दैट इज़ द डबल सर्कुलेशन. लेकिन ये अब डबल सर्कुलेशन का मतलब ये नहीं कि ये यहाँ से राइट वेंट्रिकल से जब निकल करके ये पल्मोनरी आर्टरी के माध्यम से जा रहा तो फिर ब्लड बॉडी पार्ट्स को दे रहा, नहीं, बॉडी पार्ट्स को सिर्फ ये एक ही टर्न दे रहा. दो सर्कुलेट ट्वाइस ब्लड विल सर्कुलेट, बट supply will be only once to the body parts. Such type of blood circulation is known as double circulation, and it will be explained in the two different steps, the pulmonary and systemic circulation. In the next part we will discuss that. Course of blood circulation through human heart, we have seen that blood circulate twice from the heart, and that will be distributed in the two different parts, that is the pulmonary circulation and systemic circulation. It is just the summary which you have seen during the process of circulation through the heart, and how it is distributed into two different phases that constitute a double circulation in the human body. So here from this flow chart, may you try to understand it. Here in this, blood completes its circulation from right ventricle to left auricle through lungs. Right ventricle, it will from the right ventricle, blood will be collected by the pulmonary artery, and it will now, the blood will go to the lungs for oxygenation. That oxygenated blood with the help of through the pulmonary veins come to the left auricle, and from the left auricle, the blood is now within the left auricle is the oxygenated. That's why here is written oxygenated blood, and it will come to the left ventricle. From the left ventricle through the aorta, in the diagram you have seen aorta, where it will go? It will go to the different body parts or to the different body cells or tissues. So here it is written aorta will carry it to the different body tissue or the different part. From that part, now after when the oxygenated blood will be delivered, deoxygenated blood will be collected. That deoxygenated blood with the help of the superior vena cava and the inferior vena cava, and this will come to the right side of the heart. That means the upper chamber right auricle. That is within the right auricle. Now what is the nature of the blood? It is the deoxygenated blood, and this deoxygenated blood now will go to the right ventricle, from the right auricle to right ventricle. In this way the double circulation will be completed. That is why it is distributed into two parts, the pulmonary circulation and the system. Here, what is the advantage of double circulation? That means importance. The complete separation of the four chambered heart prevents the mixing of oxygenated and deoxygenated blood, the first important thing. Secondly, such type of separation, this type of separation where there is no mixing of oxygenated and deoxygenated blood, what will happen? There is a efficient supply of energy, efficient supply of oxygen and energy also, oxygen to the body. This occurs in the animals like birds, apes and mammals, where there is a complete separation of the four chamber and the complete separation of the oxygenated deoxygenated blood with the help of the complete four chambers, having high energy needs to maintain their body temperature. In comparison to these animals like the bird and mammals, if we will compare this one with the other amphibians or reptilians, in amphibian and reptilians usually there are presence of 3 chambered heart. And why? Some they also require oxygen, they also require energy, but some animals body temperature, in some animals body temperature varies with environmental temperature, as in amphibians and reptiles. They have 3 chambered. In them some mixing of oxygenated deoxygenated blood occurs and that will tolerable for them. And due to as they maintain their body temperature according to the changing of temperature in the environment, that is why in this type of animals the mixing of oxygenated and deoxygenated blood are tolerable somewhat. In this is the second important thing in regard to the circulation in the case of the other animals in compared to mammals. In the case of the fish, what will happen? In fish, here the 4 chamber in human, and in the case of in human 4 chambered heart, in amphibians 3 chambered, and reptilia also, but in reptilia there is some reptilian three and a half chamber. There is a somewhat difference between the 3 chambered amphibians, that the maybe the separation incomplete into 4 chamber, may you say in another way कि इसमें जो है कंप्लीट 4 में नहीं होता है, बल्कि थोड़ा सा जो है आगे बढ़ करके 3.5 इसीलिए इसे 3 चैम्बर के ही लोग बहुत सा इसमें आप देखे होंगे कि 3 चैम्बर ही को कंसिडर किया गया है, लेकिन इसमें थोड़ा सा चैम्बर का सेपरेशन जो है इट इंचिंग टुवर्ड्स द 4 चैम्बर, but that not completed. That's why there is a incomplete 4 chamber in the reptilian, in the case of reptilian, and in the case of the amphibian there is a complete 3 chamber, and in case of the human complete 4 chamber. But in case of the fish there are only 2 chambered heart. Fish 2 chambered heart. Pisces there are 2 chambered heart. 2 chambered heart, that means 1 auricle and 1 ventricle. 1 ventricle. And one unique feature of this heart is that in the heart, from the heart of the fish, there is no oxygenated blood circulates. Only the deoxygenated blood circulates through the heart at a single circulation. Here there is no double circulation. What happened in this? When the deoxygenated blood circulates through the heart, it go to the lungs for oxygenation, where they extract oxygen from the dissolved, which are dissolved in water, and after extraction of oxygen from the dissolved water, the oxygenated blood now supplied to the all parts or the different parts of the body, and again there are deoxygenated blood which returns back to the heart, and that is why from the fish heart there is no circulation of oxygenated blood. That is why the heart of fish known as venous heart. That's why heart of fish is known as venous heart. So this is the discussion about the circulatory system in its component parts with the help of the human heart. We have also seen the course of circulation. So we have completed already our topics part, that is the animal circulatory system. In the next part of this transportation topic, we will learn how the absorption and water and how the translocation of food materials takes place within the plant body with the help of the two conducting tissues, two vascular tissues, that is the xylem and phloem.